The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subarai Productions.
Sentai Boonboomger! Gekisou Sentai
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tokucast for the most recently finished Sentai as of last week as of recording this. And as we begin our turn on the 50th anniversary this year and the 50th team tonight, Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger.
Yes, and as with all of our reviews, this is a spoiler review.
Yeah.
If you have not finished watching Boonboomger, go ahead and finish it. Come back when you are done, or if you don't care about spoilers, please stick around.
Yep.
Boonboomger. Start where we always do the opening.
Yes. I loved it.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
The way that Don't Stop the Boom Boom has just been the thing for like the past year. I love it.
The boom, don't stop the boom boom.
I love a meme that just happens organically.
Mm.
Sort of like Kendrick Lamar in the Super Bowl this past week.
I've heard things. I didn't watch the game.
I didn't really watch it either. Mostly because of the fact that it was boring. But also just because of the fact that I've never seen somebody's funeral just go on for over 10 months. So
Is it still going on?
Drake came out with a new album this past week, and everybody's like, okay, you're dead though. Anyway, Boonboomger. Man, oh man. We haven't stopped. We have not stopped for several years at this point of just peak. I love this show. Not as much as I like as I loved King Doja or Dawn Brothers, but Dawn Brothers is his own thing.
Really, both of them, I would say, are their own things. This, of course, very different vibes. After what we had with the previous two, more deconstructive approach to the whole Sentai formula, our venture into prestige television with King Doja. Now we get a little more back to basics.
Yeah.
A little more back to basics, a little more down to earth with Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger. I did not like the show as much as you did, but I do think it's quite good. I think the streak of Super Sentai making good shows, I think we are still on it. I think we're still on that hot streak. Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing that this show really had going for it was its characters. Because I loved everybody. Sakito less so. But that's not completely his fault. He reminds me a little bit of what they did not do with Jiro in Dawn Brothers. But yeah.
I think he's a better Sixth Ranger than Jiro was.
Well, yeah, Inoue didn't want him there.
And
it showed.
It kind of feels like it in Dawn Brothers, but he is much more of he feels much more Sixth Ranger status this time around.
Yeah.
He's there, but he never quite gets to feeling like one of the team. He always does feel like his own entity, but I do like that they also gave him Bundi to play off of.
Yeah.
I like that we essentially have two sixths.
Yeah. Bundi was great too. But where do we want to do with this? Because I feel like we could start.
Do you want to go character by character?
We can go character by character, but I feel like we need to do sort of a bad good in this situation. I want to do the bad first because I feel like there's less of that.
Okay. I'd be absolutely okay with doing that.
And then we'll do characters afterwards.
Sounds good. Do you want to start with the bad? Because I definitely have a few points that I want to get to.
You can go ahead.
Okay. I think this show is too short.
It does seem like 2 more episodes.
I feel like the show could have used another 10 episodes.
I don't think it needed that.
By the time credits were rolling on the last episode, I was like, that was good. That was good. I really liked it. There are some things I think they could have fleshed out more. Usually in the past, especially when we were talking about Heisei era Sentai. Heisei era Sentai Kamen Rider, especially when we talked about Heisei era Sentai Kamen Rider. I feel like one of the things I harped on a lot was this show just feels so long.
Yeah, it's odd to hear you say the opposite.
The repetition of it all, and I think the lackluster quality of storytelling and writing and whatnot that was going on in some of those shows just made them feel so much longer. Boonboomger, because the character writing is so good,
Yeah.
and because the characters are so interesting, and because it's so much fun to watch, and because of the way certain events unfold, especially towards the latter half of the show, I'm like, I would have gladly stuck around for a 60 episode of series of Boonboomger.
Oh my God. We would have been back to the Changeman and Cocker Ranger days, 53 and 56 episodes.
I would have been okay with it for this. For this show, a little more fleshing out for some of the characters and their motivations, I think could have gone a long way.
I feel like, especially for like Grants and not Michael Jackson.
Spinder.
Yeah, Spendo. He will forever be not Michael Jackson because that's who he was. He was legitimately a smooth criminal. Especially after he got the white outfit.
I was going to say, yeah, white outfit, yeah.
I liked him well enough. He had charisma when he was there. But I feel like a little bit more exposition on who he was wouldn't have been the worst thing. So Grants too. We got the biggest thing with Grants is the fact that he was supposed to be like the Ishido to Spindle's Taya. And, you know, completely devoted to this one man.
He's the second in command. He's second in command of the space mafia, Ashirian. And he doesn't really get much aside from, like, deep-voiced general who will do things because the head guy says to do so.
Yeah.
And that's all you really get for him. Not especially interesting.
That picture will be coming up later.
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
We not beating the allegations. But yeah, Spindle is probably a little bit weaker, but I liked him well enough where it didn't feel like, I needed to have a lot more with him, but a little bit more wouldn't have been the worst thing. Grants as well. I think the worst thing about this show was honestly Cannonborg and his arc. He was probably the weakest of all the villains to me.
For me, the weakest part of this show is like the first 20 episodes.
Really?
Yeah. The first 20 episodes they're not bad. Mind you, they're not bad. I still enjoyed them. But they're not great. They never rise to the level of great. It's the formula of the characters, the way everything was being played out didn't. But after episode 20, like around episode 21, something just clicked for me. That's when something in the show, something clicks over, something starts to work a little different. And it's like, okay, now I'm 100% on board. I feel fully, it's like after that time and all that setup, it's like, okay, now I feel fully invested in this world, in these characters, in this team. I'm much more on board with, you know, anything that has come before for this show. And yeah, good stuff.
I feel like the weakest part, Cannonborg's arc was just like, I wanted to upgrade everything, but it didn't feel like he had an overall connection.
He's the Hashirian, like, mad scientist.
Yeah.
And you don't really get that because he only seems to ever make threats.
He'll upgrade people.
The one upgrade he does that I do think is to the benefit of the show is where he upgrades Yadokar to just do the blast from his mouth to make the monster big rather than absorb the gasoline, drive to the interstate, and then we do a Mario Kart level, and then we have to get him out of the Mario Kart level, and then he belches up all the gasoline, and then the monster gets big.
The funniest part about that is we knew they just wanted to do it because of budget.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I don't blame them, but I think I think it makes the show all the better.
Sometimes,
because the way they were doing it before really killed the pacing.
It did feel like because we had to call out all the cars every single time.
All the cars.
Sometimes
go through all the driving, and it goes on too long.
Sometimes, like after they do the car part, like they can make that part interesting. Like when they all like switch signs and put up like police barricades and everything. I feel like that's when the things get interesting. It's just that first part when they're calling out all the cars was just tired after like the first 2 times.
Feels a little too Heisei-ish.
Yeah,
say everything and everything goes on, and it's like we have to have like an English butler there reading everyone's names. Lord and Lady Red Car, Lord and Lady Police Car, just like on and on and on.
It did feel like it was taking forever. Especially when a lot of them are just like, oh, we're showing up early, but we can't do anything with them, like Safari or Marine, which apparently had AIs in them. What else was not great to you?
That was the biggest complaint I've had. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. You go ahead if you have anything.
Really, the only other thing that I had is that I wish they did more with Sakito. I feel like his character, while it wasn't wasted, it's like, okay, I feel like we need more for this particular character himself. Feels like we're missing.
He shows up and he's like, I'm an antagonistic ranger. And then almost immediately he comes around to their side because it's like, we'll hire you to be our cleaner. Okay. I like the cut of your jib. And that's pretty much all there is to it.
He said, money!
Got it! Money makes the world go round.
But yeah, I feel like they just need to do more with him. We got a lot of his story at the beginning, like when he first shows up. And we get not really much to deal with him personally. It's more him dealing with Genba or something like that. And later on dealing with Cannonborg. And then at the last part, he's the one who really rallies the people for the Boonboomgers. Yeah. Which is great for him, but I feel like we could have just did more with him personally.
Because in the final arc of the show, he's the one, he and Bundi are like out there in the mech. You know, Bundi is the mech, but you know, they're out there taking out the giant robots while the rest of the team is on the ground level dealing with the main threat.
Yeah. One thing, I feel like we can get to the good now, actually, because I don't really have anything else bad.
We can move on.
Yeah. I love the random show up of Gohan Red, Tokyo Roku, and Ichigo, which I was surprised about.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
And Gokai Blue.
That one probably surprised me the most. Because the other one, it's like, all right, Car Sentai, Gohan Red makes sense. It's the 10th anniversary of Tokuger. That one makes sense. Gokai Blue showing up was the one that really had me go, oh, whoa.
The toy line.
Did not expect this.
That's the reason why. Because Bundi's thing is compatible with the other toy line that came out around the same time. So they got all of that together, just like, oh, this is why you can change parts and everything out for him specifically. Gokai Blue ends up being sort of the major outlier, like you said, if only because of the fact that, I mean, the dude just came off of doing Godzilla -1.
I was gonna say,
and
he was just in that, yeah.
But the main thing is he and Taya's actor are in the same
agency.
Yeah. So makes it a little bit easier.
We got another one of our guys. Here you go.
Yeah.
I will say though, the use of Gokai Blue at a time when Boon Blue has left the team, I think was a good choice. Yeah. I liked that they brought back Blue for that one.
Yeah, it was great. I loved seeing him for that. And it's good to see another character that wasn't red. As we will end up going into Gozuger.
I think of all the cameos from past, I think Tokyo Rokugo is my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Tokyo Rokugo's episode... when I heard that harmonica for the first time, it was like, wait, are the and then it cuts to him and he's just like nearby where Sakito is recuperating, and he's like, oh, hello, I didn't see you there.
He's also talking to Genba.
He's talking to Genba too, and that episode with the train monster, God, there's some great comedy, some great editing when they get pulled into the train.
That's that Tokuger influence. And I love the fact that he ends up transforming into green and yellow because those are the two colors that the Boonboomgers don't have from his team.
True.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh, yeah, this is some good stuff. But I was mostly just really surprised to see his actor back. Jun Shison is busy.
Oh, is he?
So, dude is...
busy doing what?
All the things.
I mean, I would assume acting, but like, what in particular?
He's just everywhere. commercials. I saw him the first time I went to Japan. I saw him a lot. Him and Hikaru's actor. Both from the same show. They've just been like
in ads on like jumbotrons or posters all over Tokyo.
On the train mostly.
On the trains, interesting.
So you just saw them pretty much everywhere.
I mean, hey, good for him. Glad he's getting work.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
But yeah, I was just really surprised to see them. But it was great to see him, even for the little bit that we did see him at the end of the episode. Just like, oh, your actor's actually showing up in this, just like Gokai Blue. The dude's busy.
Yeah, Red only showed Tokyo Ichigo only shows up for that one little scene at the end of the episode, but still was like, here he is. It's nice to see him.
Also, Shirakura, the main producer for really a lot of the Tokyo properties, but he's focusing on Sentai at the moment. He said that in a really recent interview as of this past week, he wants to make the previous Sentai not feel like legends. I want to feel like these are somebody who lives with you, like down the street or something. So it feels like, while this might have, Jetman might have come up during my year, but I can still go see them. Mm-hmm. It's not just, they don't feel like they have to come back just for an anniversary. They can come in the show occasionally.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Which will probably end up happening this coming year anyway. 50th anniversary, I mean. Well, technically, the year after this is the 50th. But it's going to be big. 50th team and everything. Mm. Also, that anniversary thing they put out this past week with Gokai Red Decade. Legend from Gotchard instead of Zio. That was the weird one. And Zen Kaiser. They got all the voices and everything back. They didn't have them out of suit. And then had Goju Wolf, and the whole thing was going to be a debate on whether or not Goju was going to be an anniversary season or not from all the other anniversaries. And Legends there, too.
Interesting.
It should have been Zio.
I wonder... can we save this for when we're talking about the finale, or do we want to talk about it now?
We can talk about it now.
It's not nothing to do with like the actual plot itself, but while we're on the subject of past Rangers reappearing, at the end, when Spinder is defeated, and they're talking about how they're going to bring him in, did you think Deca Red was going to show up?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Because I for a second there thought, like, is Deca Red or one of the Deca Rangers going to show up and arrest Spinder? Because I think that would have been really cool.
The only reason I end up saying that is because they have their own in-universe police force. They have the ISA. And now that the ISA, oh boy, we'll talk about them because Jesus Christ, the reality of the situation. It's too real. It's too real.
Shall we continue on to the good then? Because that brings me to my next point that I really
We were already in the good. Let's keep going.
Okay, this is a point that I really want to make. This show is a lot smarter than it appears to be on the surface.
Yeah.
This show, during those first 20 episodes, when I was like, yeah, this is good. This is good. It's fun. It's not blowing my socks off, but it's good. And as the show goes on, and as more things get revealed, and as the writers dig more into the characters, there are some fascinating things that I think this show has going for it if you look a little deeper. And it's great because I don't think it's not beating you over the head with it. It's something that just kind of clicked in my head as I was watching, especially when we got to like the last 4, I would say like 10 episodes maybe. Last like four especially, but like you get there and it's like, oh, this has a lot more depth than it initially appears on the surface, and it's not being showy about it. I like this.
But simultaneously, it's also not being completely subtle.
No, it isn't.
And man, oh man, especially, us coming from the U.S., it's that manipulation of media.
Manipulation of media. No VTubers this time.
Not this time. That was saved for Like a Dragon.
Yes, Like a Dragon and Gotchard.
Yes. But this time, they're just like, this is strictly the manipulation of the media by the people in power. Mm-hmm. And Jesus Christ. I'm just like, it was funny watching people like actually come to that realization during these past couple of weeks as the show was ending.
Yeah.
And everybody just being like, stop. Hold on.
It's too real.
Reality.
But also, people in positions of power colluding with people who are obviously evil for what they perceive as either the greater good or for their own benefit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. political system. Yikes.
I don't really want to say too much on that, so why don't we move on from it?
Well, it's not even that, because you also see it in the Japanese political system as well. There's a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
Korea, South Korea, with their president over this past week, a couple of, month and a half, declaring martial law, getting himself impeached and then indicted and all of that. It's like,
oh boy.
My God, this is, I don't know if it's timely, if they planned this beforehand, and this is always going to be in the thing, but it just is.
I'm pretty sure it was all planned beforehand. I think it is coincidence that, certain current events that happened in the weeks leading up to the final episodes
because
tie into it, but
it's just a pervasive thing that constantly happens no mater what you end up doing, and here we are every single time. Yep.
He said it, not me.
Yep.
Congressman, I would like the record to show I didn't say that, but
I did.
Yeah, he did. But
and I'll say it again.
I do think that the writers were smart enough to look at the world around them and pull from the influences they saw, and
also just pull from history.
And from history, and I think the way it is incorporated is very. I think it's well done. As you said, it's there, but they're not beating you over the head with it.
No, but they are making sure that you notice it. But this time, the people who did it actually got arrested. Moving
on. I think what they did with the CEO of Lightning Tech and Taya, their relationship, I find absolutely fascinating. I think that is one of the most interesting things about this story by the time it was revealed.
Knight Rider? Knight Rider. Is his name.
Well, we can't all be winners.
No, I just everybody's name in this show is based off of some driving thing.
Yeah.
You had Knight Rider,
Taya.
Well, not even just that, but it's like you had
Tire.
Gran Turismo. All the villains' names are based off of movies. So
Disrace.
Yeah.
Death Race.
Yeah. Mad Rex,
Mad Max.
Yeah. Everybody's name is based off of a movie.
I'm okay with that.
Cannonball is Cannonball Run.
Yeah.
So great movie. I love that movie.
That's who's that? Burt Reynolds?
Yep.
Dom DeLuise? Good stuff. But the relationship between so what's his name? Knight Rider?
Yeah.
Knight Rider and Taya, their relationship. When it is revealed that Rider turns out to be evil. The speech that he gives to Taya and revealing his motivations, I think is absolutely fascinating. The idea of what if a villain plucked a child from society and essentially groomed them to be their successor. And through no outside influence or influence from them whatsoever, all the pieces fell in such a way that this person they were essentially grooming to be a villain, to be their successor to an evil empire. As he says, it's like, it surprised me that you chose the path of the hero.
Yeah.
You forgot the most important thing in this world is screaming. It's suffering. Other people need to suffer so that you can be happy. And the idea that you could do that to someone and they could unconsciously completely rebel against it and choose the path of the hero and become something that you did not intend.
Or really through an other outside influence.
Yeah.
Obviously his teacher.
His teacher as well, yeah. Who is the teacher dead? Do you think,
no idea.
Because I think that teacher has since passed away because of the way
Taya spoke about her.
Because of the way Taya spoke about her, because of the way he interacts with her in the dream. This is just my interpretation. I think that teacher has since passed away. And it's the fact that Taya witnessed abuse Like, he was not abused as a kid.
That was wild.
That was the fact that they never explicitly state it, but just
through his description.
It's like, I just, the screams of a child living in the apartment next door that kept him up. And they never explicitly tell you what happened to the kid. They don't show you anything. The biggest description you get is Taya says, it was a world devoid of love, which I think is a really good description. And just the fact that those screams from that kid still haunt him, seeing like a neighbor or possibly a parent talking to the police, and then we see Taya with his parents being interviewed by investigators, Taya telling the police, I heard everything, the police getting involved, making me think that something truly horrible happened that is, again, never explicitly stated. You as the viewer are left to interpret what is going on. It's so well done.
It's also weirdly...
It's so scary, and it just feels so...
grim.
So grim, yeah.
It's weird that they end up...
But it's also such a great motivation.
Doing such a heavy subject like that is not normal for Sentai.
No, it is not.
I mean,
there is a lot of subject matter in this that is not normal.
You're having a lot of existential things going on over the past couple years, so like Dawn Brothers, with Momotaro's upbringing, with his personality versus legitimately everybody else, and how isolated he felt because of it.
Yep.
And Gira going through everything, being taken from his family at such a young age.
Being literally programmed from birth by the villain to be the loud, antagonistic Red Ranger. It's not something he can turn off. Even
with our favorite queen from last season, everything with her parents being killed pretty much in front of her.
Yep.
It's that dealing with it afterwards is something that we don't normally get to see. But that's such a pervasive thing in this person's character going forward, in their personality and who they are. But something like that for Taya, it feels a little bit too real. Because Kamakiri Oger basically ended up turning into Batman. Nurse Batman. Dr. Batman. That's what she was.
Dr. Batman MD.
Yeah. That's pretty much just who she turned into. But going forward, it's just like you end up having this whole thing with Taya and his next door neighbors. It's just like, wow, this is dark.
It's dark, but again, I think they handle it well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because they leave so much of it ambiguous, because they leave so much for you to infer from context clues.
And they don't harp on it. Like, it's not something like
it doesn't show up that much in the story. It shows up like
near the end
and like a little bit in the middle, but that's all you get.
Yeah.
And I think it's exceptionally well done, and I think it really just shows that like the writers were on the top of their game.
Like we know what we want to do with these characters. There is one more thing I want to put in like the slightly bad, but it's mostly just because of toy line things. Boon Red 119. I love that suit. It does get utilized at Altered after a bit, especially after they get
champion. They just kind of stop it after a while.
But I mean, they got champion, but even still, it's like it shows up again.
And they put their jackets on.
One more time near the end. I love that power up. We will talk about it.
I think we can talk about it now. What do we think of the suits as a whole?
They are weird. I don't like, the biggest thing about the suits that I end up having a problem with is honestly the gray. And I feel like I talked about this when we first saw the suits. It's the gray. I feel like they have the color on both sides. It would make things look a little bit better. Like, I understand these are very comfortable suits, but just having the red at the bottom and the red on the top half, or any of the other colors except for purple, violet, I just feel like it shouldn't have been gray. It should have been that color. Violets is okay, but yellow is a great accent. But those champion jackets,
they get their racing jackets.
Want one.
They look good, and also I like the touch the sticker. Well, it's not really a sticker, but like
customize.
Yes, they touch that, and then they get one of the car powers.
Yeah,
which I like.
This is great.
I like how it's used.
The mech fights exist in this show.
I think I finally figured out one of the things that Sentai screws up where something like Ultraman succeeds when it comes to its big fights.
Now, at least in this show, because I can't say for each one.
I feel this way about a lot of them. Like thinking back on it, I definitely have to go rewatch some of them. But sometimes the city design can be a little bit too cluttered, and the things that are fighting are a little bit too chunky.
They need the Ultra Band directors to come back in like they did for that one episode of Kira Major, where the giant mechs are fighting in the background and red and yellow are fighting in the front. This is one of the most peak things.
It's a great episode.
It's so good. But either that or you just need to get a little bit more inventive with the things that you're fighting. Because I like the monsters in this. I think the monsters are a lot of fun. But
I think this show does Pokemon better than the last show that tried to do Pokemon.
Gotchard?
Yep. I think this show, for most of it, is pretty much Pokemon.
How do you mean?
I mean, we have our heroes off on their adventure.
Oh, well, you're also
and then we have our primary antagonists for pretty much the entire show are a pair of incompetent boobs who keep stumbling through everything and then are like, yes, now we will create more gasoline. I mean, steal Pikachu. I mean, yes. And they do
with our mascot.
With their little mascot. They have Meowth and everything.
They gave him flowers.
And
like they gave the little toy car flowers at the end of the show to show that it was over with the rest of the cast.
Aw, that's adorable.
I love that.
That's adorable. And these three, the lackey Sun-Seeters.
The Sun-Seeters.
Yes. And they are the ones in charge of creating the monsters. And the monsters they create are essentially Pokemon. They are essentially especially early on in the show. They are inanimate objects given life by the ignition key.
Well, they're yokai. That's what a lot of...
Given life by the ignition key. And they only say their name.
It's Yokai Watch.
It's Yokai Watch.
Except they can't talk as well. Well, except for that clock one that happened like episode 2 or 3 when Mira's on the bicycle in the background. Stop moving! I love that one.
But they show up and it's like, sponge, wedding dress.
I will say, the Sun-Seeters, man, are so good as characters. I love them.
They're fun.
They are a lot of fun. My favorite thing is the fact that they will just accept what's happening occasionally. My favorite one being in Boom Boom Killer Robo when they lose and they're just like, well.
Are you talking about the moment where they lose and then they just sort of blowing up? They just sort of quietly get up and they're like, let's go some days. Shall we go this way? Yes, let's go this way. And they just sort of quietly walk off. It's one of the funniest things.
No, my favorite one is when I think it's the first or second time that Boom Boom Killer Robo shows up.
Yeah.
And they get defeated and they're just like, well, guess another day.
Freaking Tuesdays, am I right?
It's so funny. The writing for them is great. I think they are great characters. I love their character art. Figuring out what happened, especially when it comes to Mad Rex. Mad
Rex, who was the one who brought them into Hashirian.
Yeah.
Who was their mentor, who was, they have such respect for Mad Rex-sama. They love him so much and admire him so much. And then he gets resurrected by Disrace, and his memories have been erased. He gets them back, and then
he has to pretend that he doesn't have them.
Then he blows up anyway. And then they find this out, and that's when they're like, "We are turning on you."
Well, they don't find out until much later.
I know much later, but like that's what causes them to turn is when Disrace gets resurrected, and they overhear him saying that I will do to you what I did to Mad Rex, and they're like, "Wait, what?"
And that's just like, oh, full arc, full. I love the Sun-Seeters, and I'm so happy they survived and had a heel turn at the end of the show where they end up helping out, especially when they end up helping out Joe the most at the end of the show. I love them. They might be my favorite trio of just villains in such a long time.
And I think the thing that really helps them get to that face turn at the end is the fact that they don't ever kill anyone.
No.
The thing with the Hashirian Empire is they're not out to conquer and subjugate the world. They are really after a resource called gasoline.
Yeah.
Which is something that
powers.
It's something that people emit from their bodies when they are
negatively
when they're over negative emotions.
Yeah.
It's that negative emotions and stress give rise to gasoline, and that's what Spindor is like powered by.
Yeah.
And it's the resource that keeps Ashirian running. And essentially their goal throughout the entire show is just to like cause mischief and fuck with people.
That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much all they do. It's like
they never
a lot
actively
of them,
harm anybody.
They never. Well, I mean, they put a lot of people in harm's way, but they don't kill anyone.
Yeah.
The big thing is like they're not actively trying to commit murder. They're just trying to cause mischief
and stress people out. Like when Gohan Red first shows up with those really heavy Gaeta shoes that he just ignores.
Yeah, I love how some of these monsters, it's just like, oh no, how annoying. It's like that's not something that would like completely ruin my day, but it's like, oh no, what a minor inconvenience. This is so annoying. Oh no, whatever shall I do?
What is it? Something a minor inconvenience. I can't remember.
Are you talking about a certain song then?
No, a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about it'll be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Pitch meeting, yeah.
That's pretty much exactly what this is. And like the chef episode, I love the chef episode. Whenever anybody gets to dress up, I love it. But yeah, oh god. Just everything about this show, like it really ends about weighing the bad. Even Cannonborg is like he was there, but he ended up having some moments. I love how he got defeated. Mm-hmm. Like Boon Violet just straight up stomps him. Literally. Ant drops all over him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's move to the characters. Taya. I like him a lot.
Grey Red Ranger.
Coming off of, like, even Gira wasn't, all the time. He was that, portion of it, but it really worked for him.
Yeah.
Taya's cool, calm, and collectedness really worked for this character. He was chill. He was, there to help people and do deliveries and things like that. I really liked him. I love his relationship with Chashiro. But we'll get to that in a second. But Taya himself is just like, I'm Tony Stark.
I'm Tony Stark if he ran, I don't know.
A delivery empire.
I was going to say, another thing the show reminded me of is Get Backers.
Yeah.
I got a lot of Get Backers vibes from this.
Yeah.
Is it also the BL that you're thinking of? Because I said Get Backers.
You brought it up, not me.
I know.
But that show is a BL, so...
I did recently rewatch it.
It's great.
It's a fun show.
It's a very much so BL.
But yeah, the whole, like, it's like, oh, they're a transport service, and the way that the Get Back is a recovery service, but there are, like, transport services in the show. Their job is to get a thing from point A to point B, and they make deliveries, and they do stuff, and everyone's, like, a colorful character with, like, some sort of wacky ability.
Literally a colorful character.
Or superpowers. Good stuff.
Man, oh man.
But Taya, the actor is so good.
The actor's great.
The actor is fantastic. Very cool, calm, and collected, but, whenever he yells Bakuage, whenever he's, like, fired up, you really feel it.
I'm getting the feeling that he's going to end up having a very, very good career after
I hope all the actors in this show do.
I do, too. But something about him, just like, I'm really feeling it from him, where he's just going to go in to be, like, all the drama.
He's a good leading man. We know he can lead a project.
Speaking of leading man, let's talk about his
Lancer.
Sure.
Lancer in the sense of, like, the five-man band setup.
Yeah, Chashiro.
Chashiro. My favorite character in the show.
I liked him a lot. There were some people complaining about his arc at the end, and I'm just like, hey, this is one of those things
I'm one of them.
We could have had at least another episode.
This is one of the things I was thinking of. It's like, I get it. I get what you were going for. It makes sense. I think it makes sense.
He was never going to betray Taya.
But the way it was handled, I think you could have maybe... That's something I think could have been fleshed out a little more.
Yeah. Like at least a couple of flashbacks.
Not awful, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, if we had 50, I think 50 would have been the perfect number. 50 or 51 would have been the perfect number for this show. Especially because we didn't have a clip show. I want to think.
It's okay with me.
Yeah, same.
We don't need one.
But they tend to do it around New Year's and Christmas, and we did not have that this time.
No, but we got a fun Christmas episode that once again proves that Santa Claus is canon within the world of Toku.
And also, the Sun-Seeters are the best characters, especially Itasha. I loved her. I thought she was great. But yeah, Chashiro himself, I mean, he is the spy man. He is the information broker.
Yep.
And he goes out and he does a very good job. The manga, the
prequel manga,
yeah, was really about how he and Taya met and the setup of their relationship throughout this entire show.
It's where this is how you do supplemental material right.
Yeah.
You don't need to read that manga to fully appreciate, I think, Chashiro or his character or his relationship with Taya. But the extra context that it gives you, I think, really, it only benefits it. It's not required reading. It's not like the Ultraman audio dramas, where it's the only interesting thing that happens and you need it in order to get any character development whatsoever.
We would never forgive Taiga.
No, we will not. It's one of the best examples we have of this not working. But this is how you do it right. This is how you do it right. It's a fun little manga. It's only 6 chapters. It's a fun little read, and I think it does a good job of fleshing out Chashiro's character more.
It basically
but in the show, you still get that. You just get a little less of it.
It's basically episode, like how episode 0 was Akira Major. This is basically that. That manga is that.
Yeah, we find out that like he comes from like a family of spies.
Yeah.
That espionage is what he has known his entire life. And then he meets Taya and is charmed by him, as he says. And suddenly, like, his eyes open up to this whole new world of possibilities of what he can do with his life.
Though he does end up getting hired by the ISA later on, that ends up working against them more than anything else because he is a double agent.
Yeah, he is.
So,
he's a master spy.
Is it a double or a triple? Because he knew Taya first, and then the ISA hired him. Or did the ISA hire him, and then that, and then that? And he's either a triple or a quadruple agent. One of the two. His relationship with Taya, though.
Is this where this picture will come in?
Yeah. J-Hero, which is an official thing, posted this picture, and I'll put it up here, of them holding hands on the top of the building in that one episode where they end up doing each other's transformation pose. Mm-hmm. Man, oh man. When I say Toku is BL, I mean that in the most literal sense. We're going to have a whole episode. We're going to do a whole Toku talk after this about it. But man, oh man, this is why Gotchard failed.
I can think of a few other reasons why it did.
Oh, I know. But this is the major reason why Gotchard failed. If it's not BL, you're going to fall terribly. Zenkaiger, Dawn Brothers, King Oja to a certain extent, Boonboomger, and now it seems like they're already sort of getting ahead a little bit with Red and Blue for Gozuger. So I'm just like, Sentai knows what's up. Writer doesn't, always. That's what we got what happened last year. But they're fixing it this year. They are fixing it this year, buddy. Let me tell you, I need to find the picture again, but boy, oh man, oh boy. As soon as I do, I think it's actually posted here for the Valentine's thing for yesterday. Ryder's getting back on track. Ryder knows. They actually, I'll talk to you after this. They did something during a live performance that was wild. Talking about NTR and all.
It's not where I expect you to take that sentence, but okay.
But yeah, Chashiro and Taya's relationship, man, they knew. And I think that's the thing. They just knew. Like, these two are going to, the Red and Blue thing is here to stay. And I can't help but appreciate that. It's true, yeah. But I love these two.
I do as well.
I wish them many happy years together. Mira, who's our favorite pink here?
Oh, this dipshit.
The women of...
I love her so much.
The woman of 1,000 jobs.
Yep.
I loved her.
She works through a job agency, through a part-time agency. So she's just out there working at like a candy store, at a restaurant,
she was
everywhere you could. A Toys R Us. She works at freaking Toys R Us. Toys R Us actually shows up.
It does exist there in Japan. If you go from Chiba to downtown Tokyo, you pass one.
Oh,
yeah. You also pass IKEA.
That I did not expect.
Yeah. But Mira is essentially she feels like our protagonist. You follow her.
She's the first one we meet.
Yeah, you follow her a lot through this show. And she also ends up
I don't know that she feels like the protagonist, but she starts out as our POV character.
Yeah,
because she's our induction into the world.
She is our Oni sister. Yeah. Except Oni's sister was legitimately the protagonist of that show because we followed her pretty much throughout that entire thing. She's the only one who got those internal monologues. But Mira herself, I love how we went full circle with her. Where we started, where we ended.
The fact that this show opens with her literally getting married to the mob.
Where she doesn't...
I don't know how that happened. They never explained what led to it, but...
The son saw her and fell in love with her and wanted to get married immediately. But so she basically ends up getting abducted. Yep. And she ends up getting forced into this wedding away from her boyfriend. But she ends up taking, control of her own wheel at the end of that first episode.
That's the theme running throughout this entire show is taking the wheel. Taking control of your own life.
And the way that she does when just like, we can do like this political marriage where she ends up marrying Spindo, and everybody else didn't want her to do it.
Chashiro shows up as an envoy, proposes a deal. The ISA has worked out a deal. Marry Spinder and peace happen. And so we bookend with her once again, married to the mob.
But this time, taking her own will because it was her own choice to do this.
It was her own choice, but also right as like it's like the ring is going to be put on the finger. Taya reaches in, grabs it. There's a wonderful moment where they like hug and he sweeps her off her feet and spins her into a kick and kicks her in the face. And that's like right after that is when Shashiro reveals himself to still be on Taya's side because he calls out to him and like Taya like throws him the morpher, I think, and they transform.
And they shoot the monkey, which is where all of his guys.
It's not just that they shoot the monkey; it's that they shoot the monkey, they get it off of him, and then the marine car comes through and friggin' eats it.
Yeah,
and eats it and just chomps it up, and it explodes. And then Spinder's gasoline tank is gone, meaning now he's much weaker and he cannot recuperate.
And I think the biggest thing about that, going back to Chashiro for a little bit, is like we knew that he was never going to end up turning on Taya. That one was going to be obvious. It was just when and how. And he was like, we're going to take you all the Boom Boom cars away from them and everything. It's just like, no, not really. It's just going to be me doing all of this.
Yep.
And they end up pulling something back from the manga and from that flashback of the first time that they end up... that Chashiro ends up breaking into Taya's place, where he ends up going through all the other high-tech stuff and going through that, but he ends up being tripped by a tripwire. And when he and Genba are fighting...
the tripwire
comes up, but he doesn't fall this time because he knew.
Yeah. Genba's the one who gets stuck on it. No,
Genba hops over it. But Chashiro just didn't fall for it this time. I love what they did with him. But Mira herself, they mirror everything that happened at the beginning of the show at the end. And man, oh man, do I love her. She ends up being a very strong character. She's the only one who appears in every single opening. Because not everybody does.
Yeah, and I actually like how they did that.
Jashiro's not on the team. He's not there for a hot minute.
He's not there. Genba's not on the team. He's not there. Boon, after he dies, he's not there. I mean, he is like when they cut to like mech footage, but like he's not like there in the opening.
Yeah.
Very, very smart decision on their part for that episode to not play the ending theme song.
Okay, I have a problem a little bit. This is one thing I'll put in the bad. They should not have played the opening in the last couple episodes.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I think that hurt the pacing a bit. And it's just like we would have had, this minute and a half for footage. It feels weird that they played the opening.
I do think, however, using the ending theme after episode 44, I think that was well done because episode 45 ends on a much more like hopeful note than episode 44 does. So yeah, props to them there for that.
Mira herself is my girl, man.
But she's great. She's funny, great actress. Lots of charisma. Really fun to watch on screen.
She's also apparently really good friends with Kamakiri Oja's actress.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
But yeah, love her.
Moving on to
Joe,
Joe,
the heart of this team.
He's the heart.
He's the justice man. When Gal Red is your dad. In that flashback, it was Gal Red.
I loved that flashback.
Yeah. I love him. He wants to do good for people. And, you know, that's why he ended
became
up...
a policeman.
Yeah, that's why he became a policeman.
His dad was also a policeman.
Yeah. It's just a really, really... I really wish it would have had Gal Red actually show up, but, you know, commitments and things.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But again, we love seeing actors come back.
Yeah, we do.
It's a good scene, and his dad plays it so well. I love that scene is not like a scene of anger.
Yeah.
It is a scene of forgiveness and understanding and moving on. And his dad is just... He's definitely upset because he nearly burned the house down trying to because what happened was he had his dad was you get cold out there, so I wanted to warm your jacket up, so I put it next to a heater. It caught fire, could have burned the house down, but his dad is just so understanding and so warm in that scene. He's definitely like disappointed and like, I'm mad you set my coat on fire.
Yeah,
but he's still like, hey, you made a mistake. It's okay. It's okay. I still love you. And it's just so nice. It's such a nice scene.
It's so
And that episode with the whole point of like the monster, the scale monster, who is like, I reveal people's embarrassing facts. I weigh you and I get something embarrassing about you and I reveal it. And Joe just doesn't care. He's just like, I know. That's what makes me me. And oh God, the highlight of that episode, I think, had to have been when he interrupted the drama shooting.
Oh,
when
yeah.
they're shooting a drama and...
The robber.
There's a person, we hear a cry for help. There's a purse snatcher. He runs, he grabs him, he judo flips him, and then you hear, Kato! Kato, Kato, Kato! And then it's like, hey, we're shooting a drama, what's going on? And the scene that follows afterwards, one of my favorite scenes in the entire show, where like, it's like the director comes up and he's mad because the take got ruined. PAs and like ADs come up to like check on the actors. The AD gives like a permit to Joe to show like, oh, we have permission to film here. But my favorite is when Joe like kind of reaches over to the actor that he flipped and he's like, oh, you okay? You okay? And the actor goes like, yeah, I'm good. It's okay. It was so funny. It was such a lovely little moment of humanity and I loved it. He
is just a good person. And that's why he wanted to become a Boonboomger to begin with. After the whole time again for the first couple episodes.
I love what a dork he is.
He's too good for this world. And him quitting the police at the end of the show and showing just how disappointed he was in them and his foundation being shaken. And really him with Dekatore protecting those kids at the last couple episodes, just like that's that same episode where he quits the force, I think. Yeah. He just wants to be good. He wants to do things. He's the one who's able to actually reach Dektorade and Itasha and be like, you have the potential to do good things as well. Him Dektorade protecting the kids and then the kids protecting them from the police officer who's trying to arrest them and giving them a chance to get away. It's good stuff. Joe is so good. He's a lot of fun. It's such a cinnamon roll. Such a good boy. He's a cinnamon roll. Genba, who we found out the other day is 100,027 years old, is a prince from another planet. Doesn't look a day over 20. He doesn't look a day over 27. I mean, he looks good. My point is he looks good. Yeah. But Genba... Catboy. Such a good character. Inuyasha. Yeah, I was going to say that. He looks like Inuyasha. He does look like Inuyasha. When the alien reveal happens. When Desiree first shows up. And like he just loses it. He goes full Inuyasha. His leaving the team, I think, was handled fairly well. Yeah. He was really angry. He just didn't know how to process the fact that it's one of the main team that goes rogue instead of the Sixth Ranger. Yeah. Good choice. And you end up having the Sixth Ranger fight him. Be like, bro, what the hell are you doing? Again, the episode with the Tokucast episode, where that's the first time that the main team like sees him since he's left the team. Yeah. And they're in a conga line. Just like running along and they can't stop.
And then Genba, Tokyo Rokugo, and I think Bundi is like behind him as well. And they're like running around and like the way the editing in that scene is so good. The way it cuts to like a shot of like the three of them and they turn around and they're like, Genba-san, you're here! And then it cuts to like the reverse shot is like Genba, Tokyo Rokugo, Bundi, and it's like, no, don't look at me. And it's like, no, we want you to come back. We love you. We miss you. And it's the way it's shot is so good.
I also love the fact that he ends up being the one to beat Disgrace.
Yes.
So good. And, that's the first time they end up getting the champion jackets. And I love the fact that they did that instead of having Taya do it. Because it means more to Genba. Mm-hmm. Like, it feels like everybody... this doesn't feel like the Red Show. And man, oh man...
Another way in which we approve on the previous era of Sentai.
Yeah. Because, we haven't really had... Zenkaiger didn't really feel like, oh, this is... why am I blanking on his name? I can see it in front of my face. But it's not his show. It's really more Stacy's show.
You're talking about Zenkaiger.
Kaito. Yeah. It's really, like, it feels like much more of an ensemble, but it's really Zenkaiger's and Stacy's as the show goes along. With Dawn Brothers, it's really Oni Sisters, so. But then it ends up becoming...
It's Oni Sister, but, like, the way... I use this word all the time to talk about it, but the way it deconstructs the whole Sentai formula.
With
the way that it treats its characters.
With Momo Itaro and his boyfriend. That's as that show goes along. That's pretty much exactly what it ends up becoming. And Oni Sister is there to really be your POV. With King Oger, man, was it everybody?
Yes.
It was legitimately...
It was an ensemble.
Everybody. And with this show, it really feels like everybody really stands out on their own. Even with Chashiro ends up being, sort of secondary to Tai, he does that on purpose.
Yeah, but Genba, using him, the procurement specialist for Taya... just very charming, oozing with charisma. He's not above a costume change either. Candy Detective. That was a
great episode.
That was so fun.
Such a good episode. And I love the fact that they actually brought... If you're going to bring in a previous Sentai at all, in this case Tokyo Rokugo and Tokyo Ichigo, you really should have them work as a little bit more of a mentor in some cases. It doesn't work for everybody, but I feel like specifically for Genba, it worked for him. Which is why I really like that they paired him and Rokugo off. Not to mention, they're both Orange Rangers.
They are both oranges, yes.
We do not have many of those.
Yep.
But yeah, Genba's great. The cat man just...
Yes. The way his whole alien story was revealed and done, I thought was great. The whole defection arc was great.
The only thing I wish we would have had done, and this might end up being a thing for King Oger, because that got announced after the last episode, his planet did not get freed at the end of this. So I really hope we end up getting some conclusion.
Well, the show ends with them going into space.
Yeah.
And
the Sun-Seeters go before them.
And yeah, they're off to try and, rebuild themselves up, which fair enough. I got a lot of, the way their story ends, I kind of got vibes of Candelira and Lucky Hero from the end of Kyoryuger. Yeah. Where they're the two that get away and they kind of reform themselves.
And make the Kyoryuger 100 years later. But yeah, love Genba. Sakito is a fine character. Yeah. They just do not utilize him in a way that... I'm not even going to say I feel like they should. It feels like the show didn't know how to give him something afterwards. So he basically ends up playing, the antagonistic role to Genba when he comes
in as the antagonist, but that gets wrapped up really fast. But then after that, it's like... Yeah, it's nice to have him around. The actor's good. He's a fun character, but he never feels super integral to the story.
He's there for vibes. He's
That's a
vibing.
good way to put it, yeah.
He's vibing out.
He's there for the vibes.
And to eat curry and go have food and stuff.
I want to talk about Bundi while we're on him as well.
Okay.
I like the use of alien robots in the show. The use of aliens as the antagonists, and
we should also talk about Bundorio.
And as a yeah, we will. We absolutely will. But talk about Bundi first because we're on Sakito. I liked him. I liked his relationship with Bundorio. I like the the history they had there. Bundi, I think he has some good emotional moments, especially when the revelation that Bundorio used to work for Spindor comes through. Yeah, all around, like, again, vibes. Nice to have him there. And we'll transition from that into Bundorio Bunderas. He is a great character.
Yeah.
He's so much more than a mascot.
We love Ash Ketchum.
Same actor.
We also love Tai. We also love Tai from Digimon because that was Bundorio's VA. You won't get in the way. It's like it's going to be Pokemon vs. Digimon up here, part 2, the remix. But yeah, Bundorio, man, I liked him a lot. Once again, this is one of those things where I do not like dance endings.
I thought this one worked.
I didn't like it.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a fun song.
But I rarely ever liked them to begin with.
Fun song, and I liked how it was staged.
Yeah, you got to be something like Cocker Ranger for me to just be like, yes! But Cocker Ranger can also just do no wrong with its opening or ending. So, but yeah, I really liked his character. The way he gets shot in the chest when Taya is reaching out towards him and Spindle just...
The way you see and hear the blast hit his chest and go through it.
Yeah.
It's visceral.
Yeah.
It is a fatal blow, unlike, I think... It's like, I don't know that Sentai has ever done that before. Made a hit from a mech, a blast from a mech, or the death of a character feel that powerful of a shot hit someone and have them go down from it.
I'm trying to think, because they don't do death... Operate Killer. That's what he sacrificed himself.
True, but like the fact that it's like he got hit with Godzilla's atomic breath.
Yeah.
From -1 particularly, where it's just that long, like, quick shot and just such a powerful blast that just goes straight through his chest, and it really feels like someone got hit with a megaton weapon. And it just feels so visceral. It's the sound design, it's the way it looks, it's what's happened when he goes down. And cutting to the flashbacks of him talking about what happens when his people die, that they turn to sand.
I'm trying to think of any other, because I feel like this would end up either being an Ultraman thing or it would end up being a Rider thing. Because you get a lot more death in Rider. So I'm trying to think. Well, maybe some of the ones from Geats. The polar bear one when he first shows up and just gets crushed into the wall.
There was that. There was also
the Gaim one.
I was going to say Cherry from Gaim.
Literally between a rock and a hard place.
Or just between two rocks.
A rock and a hard place. A rock is a hard place. I go back and watch this sometimes.
You're not wrong.
Mostly just because, well, it's a really good scene.
It's a good scene. That man is no longer alive.
Sakito just in the background like, oh my god. But yeah. Bundorio is great. I really liked his character. I loved his energy. I love the fact that he made curry. That was the thing in the Super Sentai Cafe as well. They made that for people. Good, because that's a good way to just do branding.
That is a recipe I would like to try in terms of the presentation of it.
With the egg wheels?
With the egg wheels that look like just on the verge of being hard boiled.
Yeah.
They still look a little bit runny, the yolks. And then like the rectangle shape for the rice, on the bed of the curry, a little cherry tomato for a pop of color. It's very aesthetically pleasing.
The cherry tomato I can do without. But yeah. I don't like raw tomatoes.
I like them.
But yeah. This show, man.
I think there's more characters we need to talk about, though. I think we need to talk about Miss ISA.
Yes!
What was her name? Scroll up. Freezing on her name.
There are a lot of people in this show.
Yes, there are.
Shirabe-san.
I loved her so much. She was fantastic.
She was a great character. She loved Bundorio.
Yes. The way she comes into the show as being, government agent lady, and I will confiscate all your stuff, and I have glasses, and I am stern and strict, and I do this. And the fact that Bundorio is able to melt that almost immediately, and she becomes such a valuable ally, going so far as to put her life at risk to drive one of the cars to get them their devices to transform. She really felt like one of the team.
Yeah.
Especially by the end.
People thought that she was going to transform at the end because of the preview of her having the morpher, and I'm just like, no.
She does say I'm a Boonboomger too, and it's like, you are. You are an honorary 7th Ranger. Yes, you are.
How do you feel about the last fight? In the park. You know what I like?
So the setting is a little weird. I like that it's a nice open space, but like...
I'm happy it wasn't the quarry for the 700th time. But I think the main thing is about it, I like it in comparison to King Oger. Where King Oger was just so...
King Oger goes full Gurren Lagann, as we said in our review.
It's so massive and it's such a huge
truly
scale.
Universal scale.
Here, it's so pared down.
So pared down. There is no mech fight because Sakito and Bundy are off taking care of the big robots, like off screen mostly. But one of my absolute favorite things about the finale, one of the things that I think they really nailed, was how they take out Spinder.
Where he's all fueled by negative emotions, they're fueled by positive ones from the people.
And the fact that it's just Taya and Bunchan who take him out at the end. They're the ones that do it. Everyone gives them their vibes, and they just charge straight on, and they both just wail him with a hard punch. It's great. I love how it's shot. But it's what happens afterwards that really made me go, oh, Boonboomger. I think you've gone up a letter grade.
We're going to extend this hand to you, Spindo. Because we want you to be better.
The fact that he doesn't just like scream and explode and then they're like, yeah, we beat him. The fact that it ends on such a quiet note. It ends with, he's beaten. He's gravely injured, but he's not dead. Like, they don't finish him off. They're like, we're going to take you in. And this is what made me think that Deca Red could possibly show up. But because I was thinking Deca Red because they're the intergalactic mafia from space, so it's possible somebody from outer space would come and get them. But no. The way he just sort of laughs at them and then just quietly expires and turns into sand and just blows away in the wind.
I think it's also one of those things where I don't know if this was intentional or not, but they end up arresting everybody else. They arrest the head of the ISA, they arrest Knight Rider.
Yep.
And in this case, just like, oh, okay, they're going to end up arresting him too, but he chooses death.
And
I can appreciate that.
The other woman from the ISA who we thought was assisting the director, but she was also a double agent because she was helping out Chashiro as well. And then at the end, we find out that Shirabe-san is now the new director. The ISA is in good hands. We go off into space. We're off to
the BBG, which
to the BBG, and also to restore the worlds that were under the control of Hashirian, yeah.
And I love the fact that technically, because of the fact that Mira asked for it as a wedding gift, she now owns the BBG.
Yep.
My girl. She's like, before we do this, where's my wedding gift?
Where's my dowry?
My girl. She knows what she wants. She wants to go get it, and then she got it. Gatekeep. Gaslight. Girl boss. I like this show a lot.
Couple other things I want to call out. Just some really good laughs throughout. It's very funny. It's got great drama. There was a Mad Max Fury Road episode.
Oh, on the truck?
On the truck.
The truck was great. The first time we end up seeing the truck is Mad Max.
You talk about going up a letter grade. Oh my goodness. That episode where it's like they're driving out of the city and they're in the desert because there is a desert right next to the city, I guess.
As you do.
But as they're driving and all of a sudden there is like a shot where it's like the truck is coming on and the villain of the episode is a guitar monster whose guitar is a flamethrower that they did practically in a Super Sentai. There are shots in this where he is like strumming that guitar and you see a flame shoot out of the neck.
It is so cool.
And it's like that is a practical fire stunt that they did for this.
So cool.
You went there.
It's
Boonboomger. I see you.
So cool.
I see you.
I love that in that next Fury Road. I love it here.
It was not something I expect. It's like when Zenkaiger did a Terminator 2 reference. It was like, I was not expecting this, but I love it, and thank you.
Also, the Jetman episode. But Zenkaiger is a meme of a show. So it's the best thing ever, but it's also a meme of a show.
Talking specifically in references to like movies, but yeah.
Yeah. But that's just one of those things you just sit here like, wow. Wow, 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 wow.
That's also from Pitch
Yes,
Meeting.
But yeah, I'm going to get... Zenkaiger. I know how you feel about Kira Major, but it's a little bit F.
Oh, are you trying to rank them?
No.
Oh.
Zenkaiger, Don Brothers, King Oger, Boonboomger. Kira Major's okay for me, but it's just like, that one was just good. But I feel like the 4 that came after it have just been so good in their own way. And they're so distinct from each other and really from anything that's came before them, which makes them just stand out that much more. I think the only thing this show missed for me was, I know in the movie that the villain of that movie was voiced by Red Racer. So that was their Car Ranger tribute. And of course, Go On just showed up. But we never had anything for Turbo Ranger that I can remember.
Do we care?
No, but I feel like
I don't.
I feel like if you're going to have all 3 of the other Car Sentai on the wall, you need to do something for the other one too.
Yeah.
Let me know if I missed that, though.
I wonder if it's because Turbo Ranger was so also ingrained more as a fantasy show than it was about the cars.
Maybe, but I mean, it's on the wall. So,
oh, well.
Yeah, we watched that show, though.
Yeah, we did.
Man, I wish I didn't. But now we only have one more Sentai to watch. Ooh, I don't know what we're going to do after that. Maybe we'll put Ninja Captor in this, because I do want to watch that show as well. But yeah, let us know what you thought of Boonboomger in the comments below.
Please do.
Don't forget to join us on all the things. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.